When Cavs owner Dan Gilbert welcomed the Browns' return in 2014, he said he gave the front office a budget that was a blank check, and they exceeded it. It was the first iteration of the whatever it takes promise, but 4 years later it comes with a price in the form of the NBA's luxury tax, so let me explain. Each NBA team has a salary cap, a different cap, a maximum that they can spend on player contracts so as not to give big market teams with larger TV deals or fat cat owners a competitive advantage. Well, the Cavs have been over the cap since LeBron's return, which is a repeat offender, forces them to pay a luxury tax equal to anywhere from $2.50 to $4.25 for every dollar they are over. A tax bill that's reportedly equaled roughly $150 million over the last 3 years for the Cavs. Money that's then mainly distributed to the other teams who weren't over the cap. ESPN's Brian Windhorst pointing out in a piece earlier this year that if the Cavaliers team that exists today were to be brought back next year, their luxury tax total would almost be equal to their salary total, coming to a grand total of $308 million, just shy of the $375 million Dan Gilbert paid for the team back in 2005. Now, before anyone feels the need to start passing the hat for Dan Gilbert, it should be noted that Forbes magazine recently listed the value of the Cavaliers franchise slightly above that $375 million purchase price, like nearly $1 billion above. John Kosich, News 5. For the record, we checked. There was no police report filed with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office last night. Cavs fans will tell you,
we got robbed, point blank. Clearly, we got robbed.
Look, fans can be dramatic after a loss, I know. Ask my family. But seriously, this one?
There were fouls that were not called. We were robbed.
Stripped for the ball. James thought he was hit down the other end as well. And he's right. We say it's a make-a-miss league. It's not just shooting. It's also the right calls being made.
Fans of both sides can point to those in a given game. I get it. This is the one, though, Cavs fans don't get. But the Cavs holding a 2-point lead and only 36 seconds left, they get the ball back when Kevin Durant is charged with a charge until he wasn't.
They can review it because it was in the restricted area.
But when they see LeBron wasn't in the restricted area, we're good, right?
Once they look to see if he's in the restricted area or not, they could also change the call if they feel he's not in a legal guarding position.
And in an unprecedented move, they changed the call and changed the game.
It's never been done, ever, in the history of the game. And then tonight in the finals, on the biggest stage, when our team played well, played their off, man, it ain't right. It ain't right.
And while we can debate what was going through JR's head and what he should have done with 4 seconds left on the clock and a chance to win, the reality was there was a clear lane violation on the part of the Warriors on that George Hill free throw, which, as you know, wasn't called. There was a joke last year of a Browns fan who couldn't give away tickets to a game, so he parked downtown, put the 2 tickets under his windshield wiper with a sign that read 2 free tickets. When he came back an hour later, there were 4. As a StubHub screenshot from my phone a year ago highlights, towards the end of the 0-16 campaign, the passes to park outside the stadium were demanding 5 times the price of the tickets to get inside. This year, not the case. As of Thursday, the cheapest seat on StubHub was going for $120. The reason for the turnaround involves no deep analytical analysis. Owner Jimmy Haslam knew what needed to be done 6 years ago in announcing improvements to the stadium.
I think the best thing we can do for the stadium, candidly, is bring a winning team here. And if you win, I think the fans will come and fans will support like they always have.
What played out over the 5 years after that was the opposite, attendance dropping as the losses mounted. And last year was even worse. If you took away the London game, the team averaged only 62,000 plus a game, which would have been 28th in the league. This year, that average is up over 3,000 a game, and at $65 an average ticket, that's an extra $1.6 million for the team at the gate, and an extra $130,000 for the city, which has an 8% admission tax on each ticket. Even though the seats are sold, though, doesn't always mean there are bodies in them late in the season, something Baker Mayfield noticed after the last home game.
We'd love to have more fan support. Today was cold, I get it, but, having more people, especially got our last home game coming up. We'd love to have more people in the stands, cheering for us because we feed off that energy.
Especially from the opening kickoff. So if you're heading to the game, make sure you arrive early and avoid lines like these captured by News 5 meteorologist Brian Shaw as you make your way through security. John Kosich, News 5. Many sporting events are about the headlines. The NCAA Wrestling Championship in Cleveland is about the bottom line.
Outside of the men's Final Four and one of the major college football games, it's probably the most meaningful event from an NCAA perspective that a community can host.
That's because wrestling has a loyal traveling fan base that sold out this place as soon as tickets were available, with almost all traveling from out of town. So hotel rooms, the ones that are left, are going for north of $300 a night.
I have to tell you, we've been doing this for 18 years at Sports Commission. We have never had an event with such high demand in terms of hotels and tickets. It's great.
Now, to give you an idea of the frenetic pace over the next 3 days, this is the NCAA men's basketball bracket. Very familiar. You likely found one on your office printer this week. All the games over the next 3 weeks. This is the NCAA men's wrestling bracket. Actually, this is the NCAA men's wrestling bracket. All of the matches just over the next 3 days. Print's too small, so let me tell you, there are 640 matches carried off by 330 student athletes from 73 schools in from all over the country. Unless you think downtown might otherwise be quiet for those out-of-town visitors, remember that day 3 of this tournament is Saturday the 17th. March 17th. St. Patrick's Day.
I don't know if you could have scripted it better or worse, that the finals of NCAA Wrestling Championships are the same day as Cleveland St. Patrick's Day. It was going to be one unbelievable day downtown, that's for sure.
In Cleveland, John Kosich, News 5. The Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals is a time to go nuts, though. When we saw that Game 1 was on Sunday, you could hear a collective ruh-roh. That's because the game is in conflict with the one day we set aside to pay homage and praise to our mothers and brides. The Cavs and Celtics tip off at 3:30 here on News 5, so between now and then, we have to contrive of an answer to the riddle. How do we catch the game and not make them feel second fiddle? Game 1's on the road, which lightens the load for those who might have had tickets and been caught in a thicket of having between them to choose. The short answer, either way you'd lose. The American Retail Federation says adjusted for inflation, $23.1 billion will spend on mom on this day. Jewelry's the big one, so to his dinner or brunch, flowers and gift cards follow. Hey, I have a hunch. The survey found an experience is what 3 in 10 moms would like, so maybe bookend the day with a walk or a hike, and flowers and dinner, and in the time in between, be so bold as to offer her a little wine and gold. Family time in celebration of the start of the Cavs' elevation to another NBA Finals, which would be their 4th in a row. And if you're planning ahead to our day in June, we'd like you to know our Father's Day present 2 years ago has in our hearts forever a place of renown, for that was the day, you'll remember, the Cavs brought home the crown.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again.
Happy Mother's Day, and go Cavs. John Kosich, News 5. Opening day in politics has its roots in Ohio, sort of. It was Ohioan William Howard Taft who first threw out a first pitch as president, a feat replicated by almost all those who followed, including Bill Clinton in 1994, to open then Jacobs Field. Presidents have those memories. Senators have more of the not-whole variety of what the day meant to them as a kid growing up, Sherrod Brown included.
One of the earliest opening days, I remember I was a student at Johnny Appleseed Junior High School in Mansfield. And I was taking my best friend to opening day. My dad had gotten tickets for my best friend and me. And my teacher didn't like it. She let us go, but she made us write on the blackboard, "I will never do this again," and made us write it 10 times on the blackboard.
Rob Portman has those memories too as a kid in Cincinnati, but a favorite opening day memory, he says, came in Cleveland when Indians legend Bob Feller invited Portman to join him.
And we just had the greatest conversation. He cared a lot about politics. He had some strong views. But he also just had this encyclopedic knowledge of the game.
As for Portman's prognostications going into 2018?
I wish the Indians another very successful season. I'm pumped. Got some great pitching. The Reds, hope springs eternal, right? We had a rough year, and we'll see what happens.
I always said those are the words of Alexander Pope, who also coined the phrase "fools rush in," proving that he was indeed a baseball fan. Yeah. John Kosich, News 5.